Welcome back to the Texas Sprint Racing Series live from Odessa, Texas at Rimrock Raceway. My name is Caleb Vieska. Alongside me here in the booth is the one and only Simon Sykes. Simon, it was a great day of racing yesterday, but it is all to play for here as we are getting ready to take the green here for our 206 Cadets by Kept Clothing for the third heat.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great day yesterday, got through qualifying in both Heat 1 and Heat 2. So today is Sunday. It's time to go Heat 3 and final racing. So 206 Cadets going to be our first class up here for the Midsummer Mashup at Rimrock Raceway. 206 Cadet presented by Kept Clothing up next.
Yes, of course, and the Heat 3s will be free for anybody to watch on the Kart Chaser YouTube. But when it comes to the main events, you can subscribe to be a KC Premium member for $9.99 a month, and you'll be able to see all the final races whenever we take place in 2 weeks' time at the Ohio Sprint Racing Series and USPKS. Whenever we go to those events, those finals will be for for Kart Chaser Premium members only. So definitely subscribe if you want to see these kids and men go at it here.
Yeah, so just to recap, $9.99 subscription to the Kart Chaser Premium will both get you all of today's finals, and then like Caleb mentioned, our future events, both at the Ohio Sprint Series and the USPKS finale. You'll be able to see all the final racing action from those, so go ahead and join KC Premium on YouTube. But as the field's starting to get set and ready to take the green for heat number 3 here in 206 Cadet, it is Cadro Milbrandt leading the field off to green. On his outside, Aston Wyatt will start P2. Emmett Eddles inside row number 2. Theodore Mitchell, P4. Tanner Barsh, P5. Will Stevens, P6. Marshall Steves, P7. Colt Smith, P8. And as the field rounds the last couple of corners, they're getting set and ready to go racing here for heat number 3. Early in the Texas morning.
I think issues for a couple of guys further on back. Maybe a little bit of a stall there or an engine cut off. But I think he got it. He was able to get it going as we are now going to be taking the green flag. Emmett Eddles and Cadro Milbrandt, and Aston Wyatt into the tram lines. They are going to take the green this time by Cadro Milbrandt on the inside. He's going to keep and hold on to first place as Emmett Eddles now slides into second place, and Aston Wyatt down to fourth here. Tries to make a 2-in-1 move. Aston Wyatt, can he get it done? He does on Tanner Barsh. Aston Wyatt right back up in a P2, Simon.
Big move from Aston Wyatt there. That was an excellent start. Lost a spot or two out of turn number 1, that inside line, taking advantage to the first couple of corners, but Aston Wyatt fighting back and regaining that P2 position. So as the field works through turn number 3, starting to get spread out just a little bit, it is Cadro Milbrandt taking the advantage over Aston Wyatt.
Yeah, and we've seen that inside line hasn't been the best whenever it comes to race starts, but it seems like Cadro Milbrandt got the experience yesterday of what it's like starting on that slick part of the track, and Aston Wyatt could not get the better of him here at the start, but now Aston Wyatt's going to try to get back to Cadro Milbrandt, and Tanner Barsh is coming along too, as well as Emmett Eddles. Emmett Eddles was super quick yesterday. He was absolutely flying, and he's going to try to do this exact same thing here right now.
The field completes lap number 1. They'll work it through turn number 1 and begin their second lap of heat number 3. A little tire off there for Cadro Milbrandt, your leader. That'll put Aston Wyatt right up on his rear bumper exiting turn number 3.
Yeah, definitely not good there for Cadro Milbrandt. Dropping a tire there, almost 2 tires, as that's going to lose. He's going to lose a handful of time to Aston Wyatt in that Burrell Art Machine by Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. And now Aston Wyatt's all over the rear bumper here of Cadro Milbrandt, and Tanner Barsh is coming along too. And whenever Aston Wyatt and Cadro Milbrandt begin to fight, welcome to the party is going to be Emmett Eddles here, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. These top 3 starting to close up against each other. And look at that in the back, that top 3 group all nose to tail crossing the start line this time by Tanner Barsh closing in on your leaders, but Aston Wyatt continuing to apply pressure. He's going to look for a move to the inside at turn number 2, and a new leader, Aston Wyatt.
Yeah, what a move there by Aston Wyatt. He realized he had to go. Obviously, Cadro Milbrandt with that mistake early on in the race, but now he's going to have a whole lot of work to do to get past that Burrell Art Machine of Aston Wyatt, who has been super quick all year long, and he's obviously doing double duty as well as Cadro Milbrandt, so these guys are going to find themselves a couple of times today here, Simon.
Yeah, so they'll get all the morning sessions here, and then they'll reset and take back at it in today's afternoon classes. But here in the morning, it is 2:06 cadet time, and Aston Wyatt feeling some more pressure from Cadro Milbrandt. Milbrandt recovering after being passed on this lap, and still top three fairly nose to tail. Emmett Edel sitting there in P4, just a couple of kart lengths off of this lead group.
Yeah, and it seems like overnight a little bit of dust came onto the track because speaking to a lot of the drivers here early on this morning, they are saying that the track is way more slick than what it has been all weekend long, and that's crazy to hear because we had racing all day yesterday. So now they're saying that it's still pretty slick. Aston Wyatt in the warm-up session spun it around and put it into the wall, but it's good to see he's in the lead of this race now.
Yeah, I took some time sitting up on top of our booth, just enjoying the morning warm-ups here, and that was the big thing to watch for, is how slick it is here in the morning. And like we talked about yesterday, the track evolution as the temperatures come up, grip gets laid down, and some of that dust starts to get cleared off the track. We're going to see an entirely different track this afternoon, as it just changes so constantly. But drivers here this morning getting it figured out on this slick surface. Aston Wyatt extending his advantage now to about 3 kart lengths over Cadro Milbrandt, and Tanner Barsh starting to close in and bring that fight for the P2 position, and looking for a move to the inside, maybe not into turn 2 this time, but pressure is there, and they will exit side by side out of turn number 2. The battle for P2 heating up here.
Yeah, and like you were saying, track evolution is going to be really big here at the moment in Odessa, Texas. It is 82 degrees outside. The highest that it's going to be today is expected to be 106 degrees. Well, welcome to Texas, Simon. This is what you expect. In the morning, it could be as cool as it wants with a nice breeze, but whenever that sun comes out and is hanging overhead, this track is going to warm up and it's going to get super fast.
I mean, I think we saw 103 or 104 yesterday, and that was plenty hot. So
yeah,
it's definitely going to be scorching this afternoon, but drivers enjoying this 80-degree weather they have this morning before it starts cooking out there. With 2.5 minutes remaining plus 2 laps left in this heat race, we see a pass for P2 now as Tanner Barsh is going to pull the trigger and make the pass on Cadro Milbrandt. And look at that, Emmett Edels now joining the fight back there in P4. You see second, third, and fourth all nose to tail, while Aston Wyatt continues to extend his advantage out front.
Yeah, that move there by Tanner Barsh was really beneficial for Emmett Edels to bring him right back into play. Now he's all over the rear bumper here of Cadro Milbrandt. Is Emmett Edels going to look for a move here into the bull corner? He thinks better of it. Is going to stick behind Cadro Milbrandt here, and now he's going to look for a move down the inside. He thinks better of it again, and that MSL cart is going to wait behind Cadro Milbrandt, but for how long, Simon?
You can't wait too long. You already see the advantage Aston Wyatt has extended, and by extension, Cadro Milbrandt already starting to make good work of that P2 position. So Emmett Edels is going to be on the hot seat looking for a pass here in the next couple of laps. Maybe this time into turn 2. He's looking not going to go for it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the closest that Emmett Edels has been to the pass so far. And now you see him shaking his head. He thinks that he should have gone as he lost a handful of time there on the exit. As now Cadro Milbrandt with a switchback move on Tanner Barsh. Tanner Barsh is going to stay on the inside. A little bit of a better exit there by Tanner Barsh. And Cadro Milbrandt's going to stay in third place here. And now Emmett Edels, while Tanner Barsh and Cadro Milbrandt were fighting here, Emmett Edels has been brought right back into play here, and now he's going to try to look for a move here on Cadro Milbrandt, as he could not get it done a lap before.
So while Aston Wyatt checks out front, we're going to continue to follow this battle for P2, 3, and 4 as Tanner Barsh, Cadro Milbrandt, and Emmett Edels continue to fight. We got 41 seconds and 2 laps remaining. So they'll cross the line this time by. I assume we'll get the 2 to go next time by. I think we're at 3 to go, and look at that. Emmett Edels looking for the pass on the inside to turn number 2. Not quite going to stick it on Cadro. Still looking for a way by, but not able to find one yet.
Yeah, there's going to be 3 laps to go. Obviously, the rest of this lap and 2 more laps. And at the moment, as it stands, it's Emmett Edels in 4th place, looking for that last podium spot going into the final later on today. As like I said, the 3 heat results, wherever you finish in the 3 heats, that is where the average of those 3 heat finishes is where you are going to start later on today in the final. So every single move here is going to be absolutely important for these guys, as Emmett Edels looks to improve his starting position here over Cadro Milbrandt, who ultimately started on pole.
And as they come by, it'll be 2 to go this time by. Aston Wyatt still leading from out front, also setting the fastest lap of the race that time by. but the battle we're watching is for second, third, and fourth. Tanner Barsh leading Cadro Milbrandt over Emmett Eddles as they work through turn number 3. Cadro Milbrandt still looking for a way back around Tanner Barsh, not able to find one yet, and Emmett Eddles just sitting patiently in the background.
Yeah, and the lap times in between Cadro Milbrandt and Tanner Barsh are super close here. The margins are absolutely small, as last time by for Tanner Barsh was a 52.935, and last time by for Cadro Milbrandt in that comp cart was a 53.001. So now you see that these guys are really fighting here. The margins are non-existent, as you could say.
Yeah, certainly, and as they work through, it'll be white flag this time by. Now we're seeing Emmett Eddles look for the pass on the inside to Cadro Milbrandt. He's going to try it, and they're going to go side by side into turn number 2. Cadro Milbrandt running the outside, trying to hold it, and he's actually is going to hold that position as Emmett Eddles caught the curb on the inside. Is going to lose some momentum and not quite able to get the move done. Was looking pretty good into turn 1, just not able to hold it through turn 2.
Yeah, and last time by Emmett Eddles with the 52.291. That is the fastest lap of the race so far, and it seems like his car just bogged down there on the corner and had no momentum on the exit. So Cadro Milbrandt is going to hold on here to third place, and Emmett Eddles with a handful of work to do if he wants to catch right back up to Cadro Milbrandt and Tanner Barsh up ahead. But this race, it has been all Aston Wyatt, who has been in the lead almost since the second lap of the race, as he is getting set to take the checkered, and Aston Wyatt wins Heat 3. Tanner Barsh second, Cadro Milbrandt third, Emmett Eddles will finish fourth. Will Stevens will come across the line to finish fifth. Theodore Mitchell will come across to finish 6th. Marshall Steves in 7th. And Colt Smith is expected to finish 8th here.
And as the last couple of drivers work their way across the line, we'll wrap up the 206 Cadet Heat number 3 here at Rimrock Raceway. A great race showing Aston Wyatt taking off from out front over that big battle we watched all race for P2, 3, and 4 between Tanner Barsh, Cadro Milbrandt, and Emmett Eddles. So we'll be looking for more action from the 206 Cadet class presented by Kept Clothing later today, as they will get set to run their finals after we wrap up Heat number 3 in the AM. So stay tuned, and when we come back, we're going to go Heat 3 racing again. For this time, it's going to be, 2 seconds. And we're going to look to see the Honda Kid Karts getting ready to take the track for their Heat number 3. When we come back, stay tuned on Kart Chaser.
If you want to see a giant selection of beautiful new dining room tables, chairs, servers, come out to Gallery Furniture to see with the latest and greatest dining room furniture. Best of all, buy this dining room furniture today, solid wood. Gallery Furniture delivers free to your Houston area home today.
Welcome to Rimrock Raceway, the premier karting facility and motorsport-themed venue in West Texas. While you're at the track, be sure to stop into Victory Lane and enjoy our full-service bar and event center. We have live music and entertainment weekly, along with Texas's fastest go-karts available to the public. Located on West Highway 80 in Odessa, get your adrenaline pumping at Rimrock Raceway and live life full throttle.
And the Honda Kid Karts presented by Rimrock Raceway on track, forming up. The 4-kart field consists of Benjamin Osborne will lead them to green on his outside. Brennan Barsh, Keelan Short P3, and Rafe Ali P4. They're into the tram lines and looking for the green flag this time.
Looking for the green flag as Benjamin Osborne in that MSL Intrepid is going to take the lead here early on from the pole position as Keelan Short looking for a move here early on Brandon Barsh. And Brandon Barsh was looking for a move on the outside. Cannot get it done on Benjamin Osborne here, and now he's going to look for a move down the inside on Benjamin Osborne, and he does get it done. Brennan Barsh up in a P1, and Keelan Short now chasing down the 88 of Benjamin Osborne.
Some great Kid Kart action to kick us off on this opening lap. Brendan Barsh able to work his way around the pole sitter Benjamin Osborne on the exit of turn 2. So now he's going to lead the field into the bowl. And now he's got about a 5-kart length advantage over P2 of Benjamin Osborne. Keelan Short there in P3, closing up on that rear bumper of Benjamin Osborne.
Now closing down the gap is Keelan Short. Keelan Short is going to try to look for a move down the inside on Benjamin Osborne down the straight. Cannot get it done, and Benjamin Osborne is going to stay in second place here as Keelan Short with a whole lot of, fire under his belly to try to catch right back up to Benjamin Osborne, who was in second place. And Keelan finished second in both heats yesterday, Simon. So he was obviously he was super quick. And now down the inside, a little bit of wheel banging, and Keelan Short's going to send Benjamin Osborne a little bit wide there on the exit of the hairpin. And now Keelan Short up in a P2. Some great racing that we have here, Simon.
A little late dive into the hairpin there of turn number 3, and Keelan Short will take over that P2 spot. That'll set him well for the finals later today with a couple of good results. He just needs to close out this one in P2, and that'll be a strong run through the heats for the driver with the number 21, Keelan Short, here as they start to spread out just a little bit. Still, Brendan Barsh taking off on this field over Keelan Short, Benjamin Osborne, and Rafe Ali. And it'll be 2 to go this time by for your leader, Brennan Barsh, in that number 82 cart on your screen. He'll come by, see the double sticks in the air. 2 laps left and a healthy gap over his competition as he has set the fastest lap of the race on lap number 2, but has continued to extend that advantage throughout this race, now up to almost 10 seconds. And with just under 2 laps left in this race, we're pretty confident that Brennan Barsh is going to walk away with this one. But the 2 drivers that have been fairly close to each other all race, Killian Short leading Benjamin Osborne as they continue to fight here into turn number 3.
Yeah, and I think Brennan Barsh got across the line before the 7 minutes ran out. So I think we are going to have 3 laps to go here. Obviously, the end of this one and 2 more after this. So Brennan Barsh is going to lead us away as Killian Short now pulling away a little bit here from Benjamin Osborne, who is in 3rd place, and Ray Foley in 4th.
Yeah, as you see on your screen now, Killian Short getting hunted down by Benjamin Osborne. Benjamin making a little bit of time out of the bowl corner. And with only a couple of kart links separating them, this is our closest battle on the track. Brennan Barsh, nowhere to be seen, off into the distance already. Has this one all but wrapped up. But Killian Short and Benjamin Osborne still have P2 and P3 to decide. And here you see the white flag in the air for your leader, Brennan Barsh. 1 lap left in this Honda Kid Kart race presented by Rimrock Raceway here for the Texas Sprint Racing Series Round 4, the Midsummer Mashup. This is heat number 3, and Brennan Barsh has continued to extend that advantage, now up to over 11.5 seconds over his nearest competition. So about a half lap left for Brennan before he will see the checkered flag in this final heat for Kid Karts. But Killian Short and Benjamin Osborne still only separated by about a half second. So while Brennan takes off on the field by over 10 seconds, you still have 2 drivers running somewhat close to each other here, Caleb.
Yeah, Killian Short and Benjamin Osborne have been running super close to each other all race long here. So but Brennan Barsh now in the back. S is now going through the last section of the track here, and now he's going to take the checkered flag to win Heat 3 here in Honda Kid Kart presented by Rimrock Raceway. And now let's see if we can catch up with the battle of Killian Short and Benjamin Osborne. I'm not too sure who is ahead here at the moment, and it's still Killian Short. Killian Short going to finish here in 2nd place. Benjamin Osborne is going to finish in 3rd, right behind Killian Short. And Rafe Ali is going to complete your Kid Kart field here. And this was Honda Kid Karts presented by Rimrock Raceway. If you want to see if any of these guys are your favorite drivers and you want to see them race later on today in the main events, don't forget to subscribe to Kart Chaser on YouTube, and don't forget to become a KC member for only $9.99 a month. You are able to watch all of the main events free at whatever series we go. Well, it's not free because you subscribe, but yeah, we don't. And I promise here, it sounds like we get commission just for saying that, Simon. But I promise you guys that we don't. So so please subscribe if you guys want to see a whole lot of racing here this year.
Yeah, and just a note on that, we are going to go live here at about 10 a.m. for our AM main events, and then we'll bring it back to free coverage for our afternoon heat number 3. And then again, we will go behind the paywall at 3:40 p.m. for our afternoon main events, which will consist of the micros, 206 Heavy, Mini Swift KA Junior, and KA 100 Senior. But taking to the track now is 206 Junior, presented by Seville Electric.
Yeah, Reagan Seville's in that number 1 GFC here at the head of this field. Reagan Seville with the Trackside Karting Services group this weekend. He's going to start in on pole position. Alongside him is going to be Derek Wargo in the Comcart. Behind Reagan Seville here at the moment is Robert Arana, his teammate. Robert Arana is going to start in 3rd place, and in 4th it's going to be Shelby Ramirez in the 313 Comcart as well. In 5th place it's going to be Spencer Craig, and I think that is going to be it for our 206 Junior drivers here, Simon.
Yep, so that'll be 5 drivers making their way around, and now they round the last couple of corners, getting filed and formed up to take the green flag here. Out of the last corner, it's going to be Reagan Seville leading them to the green. Into the tram lines they go.
Yeah, and pretty much all weekend long it's been all Reagan Seville, but Reagan Seville and Derek Wargo has been the closest battle on track for quite a while now, and Reagan Seville waiting patiently to take the green, and he decides to go here now. Reagan Seville slides over to the top of the track now, and Robert Arana up in a P2. Shelby Ramirez slides back in a P4, and Derek Wargo now with an early move on the inside on Robert Arana. Shelby Ramirez trying to follow Derek Wargo through the 2 Comcarts, trying to work their way through the 2 GFCs of Robert Arana and Reagan Seville up ahead. Cannot get it done, but Derek Wargo is going to slide right back up in a P3. Robert Arana in P3, and then Derek Wargo up in a P2, and Shelby Ramirez is going to hold on to P4 here, and Spencer Craig rounds up your field in P5.
So much like the Kid Kart race, you already see your leader establishing his advantage early as we continue to watch the fight for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here. Reagan Seville gone out front, but Derek Wargo, Shelby Ramirez, Robert Arana, all in the heat of battle.
Yeah, and you can't fail to mention here, Simon, that is 2 for 2 for the guys on the inside row. So may see a little bit of a flip here today because that inside row seems to be working.
Yeah, and for those of you who weren't able to tune in yesterday, we saw a lot of these races where the outside line got the jump into turn number 1 and subsequently into 2. So your outside pole sitter often getting a good advantage off the start, but today, like you mentioned, it has been 2 for 2 for our inside row, so the pole sitters taking the early leads here, not giving it up through turn 1. And Reagan Seville, a great example of that, starting to take off on this field.
Yeah, and here at the moment, Shelby Ramirez closing down that gap to Robert Arana ahead. Shelby looking for a move here, could not get it done, and listening to her and her father talk on the grid, I think they may be a little bit off here on gearing, but it seems like they have got it just right now as she is all over the rear bumper here of Robert Arana. Shelby Ramirez now maybe looking for a pass here going into turn number 2. Like we've seen all weekend long, turn 2 is the most likely and the easiest place to pass here, and even I really can't say easiest because it is still super difficult to pass there. If you get it wrong, you can absolutely lose all the momentum in the kart and slow way down like we saw in the 206 cadet race with Emmett Edolds.
Yeah, just like Emmett catching that inside curb and losing the momentum. A lot of these inside passes we've seen across the weekend, just not able to stick it across this slick surface, not able to get the grip into the corner. So we'll keep an eye on those inside passes. But like you mentioned, Shelby Ramirez starting to put the pressure on to Robert Arana.
Yeah, and the pressure is there indeed, as Robert Arana isn't that far back here from Derek Wargo either. Reagan Seville was the fastest man last time by with the 55.016. Derek Wargo is 8/10 off at the moment from the pace that Reagan Seville is setting, and Reagan Seville goes the second faster with the 54.083. Reagan Seville is putting a clinic here. Reagan Seville a second faster than anybody else on track, and his gap is out to 3.5 seconds now as Shelby Ramirez and Robert Arana, a little bit of a side-by-side action there as Shelby's looking for a move here on Robert, and Robert not too happy. I think Robert made a mistake here, Simon.
Yeah, Robert tapping his helmet, trying to get any sort of help he can from behind, but I think Shelby will be keen to make that pass as soon as possible. You already see Reagan Seville extending his advantage to over 3 seconds. So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is where the battling is, and Shelby Ramirez to the inside, diving down, going to get crossed over on the exit and dropping a tire. That's going to cost a lot of momentum for Shelby. So looking for that move on Robert Arana, dove down to the inside, but not quite able to stick it on the exit.
And you see how complicated this track is. Shelby Ramirez trying to go down the inside here on Robert Arena, and there's just no grip offline, so Shelby could not keep it together and drops a tire off track there. And now she has a handful of work to do if she wants to catch right back up to the rear bumper here of Robert Arena, as that gap in between Shelby Ramirez and Robert is now at over a second. The gap in between Derek Wargo and Reagan Seville now is at 4 seconds. Reagan Seville absolutely flying here in that number 1 kart. A great race so far by Reagan Seville, who has shown his class pretty much all weekend long.
Yeah, he's been consistently, so far this race, at least a half second faster than everybody else on track. So taking the early lead from the pole and not looking back. Reagan Seville leading the way here as he'll complete lap number 5 here in 206 Junior, presented by Seville Electric. And we'll take a look a little bit farther back when we can as Derek Wargo still leads over Robert Arana for those P2, P3 positions. About 5-6 kart lengths separating the two of them, and then you look a little bit farther back, and Shelby Ramirez still trying to make up from that earlier mistake, just slight over eagerness to get by Robert Arana, and is still going to be trying to make up that gap.
Yeah, and that's the thing here, Simon. Obviously, for some of these guys, it is whenever they're behind someone, they want to go. And we saw earlier in the 206 senior race yesterday, some of these guys weren't willing to work together. They just want to be ahead of the pack. So not too much working together as we've seen all day long. So Shelby Ramirez was obviously there trying to get past Robert to maybe work her way up to Derek Wargo after the pass she missed there on Robert Arana.
So as we tab back up to Derek Wargo in that 378 machine, 5.5 seconds back from your leader now. Seville gone into the distance, and he's going to start to feel a little bit of pressure from Robert Arana, who is closing slightly, was 1/10 of a second quicker than Derek Wargo last lap. And Derek Wargo is going to dip a tire off the exit, and that's going to bring this gap down even more. And now the fight for P2 starting to heat up here.
And that's exactly what Robert Arana needed if he wants to improve his starting position. Wasn't a good first heat for Robert Arana yesterday, and now Robert Arana is looking for a second-place finish. Can he make it a TKS 1-2 here in heat number 3? Robert Arana all over the rear bumper here of Derek Wargo going down the main straight. Robert Arana is pushing Derek Wargo at this point. Is Robert Arana going to decide to go here down the inside on Derek Wargo? He does. Robert Arana up in a P2 here, and Derek Wargo looking here, goes wide, looking for a switchback move. Can he get it done? They are side by side coming into the second set of hairpin, and Derek Wargo, what a switchback move there.
Yeah, it's just so tough to get that grip down at the apex of the corner, and Derek Wargo using full advantage of his wide line and narrow exit to reclaim that spot. And the fighting continues heading into the bowl corner. They are now nose to tail. Robert Arana putting the pressure on Derek Wargo, not able to solidify the move yet, but he has attempted it once already.
Yeah, and the more these guys fight, the more that Shelby Ramirez is going to catch right back up to them. Reagan Seville is going to take the 2 to go here this time by, as his last lap time was a 53.488, 0.2 off his fastest lap, and Derek Wargo's last lap was in the 54s now, close to the 55s, as he is now falling into the grasp of Robert Arana, looking for a move. Not close enough to get it done here in turn number 2 this time by, but he's still catching and still chasing Derek Wargo here.
Yeah, this is the battle to watch on track P2 and P3. Just at the edge of your screen there, that is Reagan Seville. If we can grab a quick look at that, issues for your leader, Reagan Seville, having a mechanical failure, something, maybe the chain coming off there, but Seville going to lose all the advantage he has. He's going to try and get that thing refired, yanking the cord, and he'll get it back going, but he's lost that lead. And your leader, your dominant driver out front, now finds himself down at the end of this field in the battle that once was for P2 and P3. Now for the lead as Robert Arana and Derek Wargo are in control of this one now.
Yeah, 2 laps this time by, and Derek Wargo is the new leader here in this race after that mishap for Reagan Seville. And now Robert Arana could be finding himself in the podium spot here for heat number 3, and I believe we are getting word that Reagan Seville is off the racetrack here at the moment. So whatever problem he had, he thought he had fixed it, but I think he is off the racetrack now as Derek Wargo is going to lead us away here with 1.5 laps to go, Derek Wargo, your new leader.
That is a incredibly tough break for Reagan Seville there. The driver with the most pace. 53.2 was his fastest lap, and he had amassed a massive advantage over the field when disaster struck. Mechanical mishap.
Ooh.
Oh, and we'll see. Look at that. That was Robert Arana looking for the move on Derek Wargo. Dives it down to the inside, not able to get it all the way into the corner. Loops it around on the entry, and that'll be the checkered flag there for Derek Wargo. Derek Wargo, your Heat 3 winner here in 206 Junior, presented by Seville Electric. And that's going to be Shelby Ramirez coming home P2 after a bit of attrition. Robert Arana does come home P3, able to get his kart turned back the right way. Spencer Craig P4, and then Reagan Seville, your early leader with a mechanical issue, is going to DNF there in P5. So that has been 206 Junior. Wild stuff here, Caleb.
Yeah, definitely wild. And we saw the same thing in the 206 Senior race with Bryce Frank whenever he lost his chain yesterday in the second heat. Bryce Frank had a big gap early on in the race. It was an over 2-second gap from Bryce Frank to second place. And we saw him have a mechanical issue. Now we see Reagan Seville with a gap that is over almost 10 seconds, and he has issues here in the late closing stages of the race, and Reagan Seville isn't going to be happy with that one. But I think he should be good to start on pole position here later. As I see a little smile there from Reagan Seville.
He knows he has the pace. He knows the kart's quick. Just got to get it back together, fix whatever issue that was when they get back to the paddock. But up next, it's going to be Heat 3 for your KA 100 Masters. Coming up here shortly. Stay tuned on Kart Chaser.
If you want beautiful, solid wood, made in America dining room furniture, come out and see the new selection of beautiful dining room tables, chairs at Gallery Furniture, and best of all, buy this beautiful, oh so comfortable, made in America dining room furniture, tables, chairs, servers. Gallery Furniture delivers free to Houston area home in 3 or 4 hours tonight. Make family members on your beautiful new dining room table and chairs. Buy it today. New arrivals, Gallery Furniture delivers free in 3 or 4 hours to your home today.
Welcome back to Rimrock Raceway. My name is Caleb Vieska. Alongside me here on the booth is Simon Sykes. We are getting set to take the green here for KA100 Masters, presented by Kart Racing Solutions. On pole position is Rimrock Raceway track owner number 406, Scott Cherry. Alongside him is reigning series leader Miguel Mir, starting second. And third, we have David Pregande. Fourth, Randy Russell. Fifth, Kyle Walter. Sixth, RJ Guajardo, who was super quick yesterday. And seventh, Kogan Wright. Eighth, Morgan LeBaron, who we saw some great drives from him yesterday as well, working his way up the field. And ninth, we have Kyle Uchinsky. 10th, Steve Craig. 11th, Daniel Howie. 12th, Jorge Hernandez. 13th, Jose De La Garza. 14th, Tam Nguyen. And 15th, Andy Miller. I'm not quite sure if all those drivers are here, as some people have been missing, I guess, and still are on our scorecards, as now Scott Cherry and Miguel Mir are lining up here to take the green.
And as they work their way into the tram lines, one of our biggest fields here of the weekend is KA100 Masters, presented by Kart Racing Solutions. They're into the tram lines and looking for the green flag shot. Scott Cherry's going to lead the way into turn number 1. The inside line getting a great start there, and in P3, David Pregande able to work his way up into P2 off the start, so the inside line getting a massive jump there.
Yeah, a little bit of contact further back for Miguel Mir. Wasn't a great start by him. And now Scott Cherry and David Pregande. What a move there by David Pregande down the inside on Scott Cherry. Scott Cherry wasn't too happy there with that move. And now Miguel Mir is working his way back up, as we see further back in the field, some side-by-side action now. But what a move there by David Pregande to move himself up in a P1.
From P3 to P1 in the opening lap, Scott Cherry definitely not happy with that move. A little bit late, a little bit of contact, but Scott Cherry loses out slightly to Pregande. Pregande, now your new leader, heading towards the start line to close out lap number 1. We'll give you the running order as they sit. It is David Pregande over Scott Cherry, Miguel Mir in P3, Kyle Walther up 1 position to P4, Randy Russell in P5, RJ Guajardo P6, and Daniel Howie up 4 spots already to P7. So a big start there for the driver of the 419.
Yeah, and behind, as we see a little bit of more action, that's Morgan LeBaron in there as well. Morgan LeBaron hasn't had a great race start. As now side-by-side, Scott Cherry and David Pregande. Scott Cherry did not forget about that move from David Pregande. Now Miguel Mir has been brought right back up in a play, and Scott Cherry now looking for a move here on David Pregande. Can Scott Cherry get it done through here? A little bit of a slide there, and now side-by-side for Scott Cherry. No, Scott Cherry's going to slide right back to the rear end of David Pregande here.
This fighting's letting the rest of the field close up. We have about a 6 or 7 kart lead group as it sits. It's still David Pregande leading over Scott Cherry, and Miguel Mir starting to put the pressure onto Cherry as they have a small gap back to Kyle Walther in P4. But as they work through turn number 2, you can see how nose to tail these top 7 karts are.
Yeah, nose to tail. It's almost a 7-kart train here for the lead, as now Miguel Mir is going to go on Scott Cherry, and Miguel Mir up at a P2 now. Scott Cherry not happy with that move either there by Miguel Mir, and Miguel Mir giving the signal here to Scott Cherry as he believes that he is faster, telling Scott Cherry to work their way up. And now another driver, I think that's Kyle Walter further back, who got a little bit of out of shape there. Now RJ Guajardo down the inside, and Randy Russell trying to work his way up here as well, as down the inside he may go on Kyle Walter. Not sure what happened there. Did Randy Russell make it out? He does. He's going to slide behind Kyle Walter and RJ Guajardo up in a P4.
So across the line, we're working into lap number 4 now. A lot of racing action already kicking off here in KA100 Master. You see a pass there to the inside for P5. That may be Randy Russell diving down the inside as they'll work into turn number 3. More side-by-side action, a little bit of contact, and that was Randy Russell on the inside there as they continue to fight through turn number 4 and 5. And that's the 406. That's Scott Cherry getting past. He's very not happy with how he's been raced so far here in this heat. And you see Randy Russell making his way through the field all the way up to Scott Cherry now.
Yeah, and Randy Russell coming through as well. It seems like he's almost drifting through these corners, and Scott Cherry wasn't too happy with the move there by RJ Guajardo on him. So now Scott Cherry going to try to work his way right back up the field. Scott Cherry did start on pole. He is down 3 spots, not the race start that he would have wanted, as now he's going to fall into the grasp here of Randy Russell, who has been absolutely flying all race long.
Yeah, Randy Russell lost a couple spots off the start there, but is making a big charge back towards the front of the field. You see him on your screen there. Scott Cherry just in front of him. And Daniel Howie giving some pressure to Randy Russell. He's not done with them just yet as they work their way into the bowl. Randy Russell leading a line of 3 karts all nose to tail, trying to run down Scott Cherry right there in front of him.
Yeah, it seems like the first time that we have heard Daniel Howie's name, the 419 in that red speed. Daniel Howie up 5 spots from where you started. What a drive so far here by Daniel Howie, who is now all over the rear bumper here of Randy Russell. And behind him is Kyle Walter. So Daniel Howie trying to work his way up, maybe get his way, move his red speed past Randy Russell here at the moment. Randy Russell goes a little bit defensive here on Daniel Howie. Daniel Howie has the wide line. Can he get a switchback move done? He cannot. He didn't have the exit that he would have wanted, as Randy Russell is going to hold on here to P5.
Randy Russell continuing to put the pressure on, but that's a diving move down to the inside. Now Daniel Howie making that move decisively as they head towards the bowl. Move Daniel Howie up a spot.
Yeah, and Kyle Walter working his way up the field again, and then behind Kyle Walter is Cogan Wright and Morgan LeBaron. Morgan LeBaron, we saw him win earlier this year at North Texas Kartway, and now Morgan LeBaron wasn't the qualifying that he would have wanted, of course, and now Morgan LeBaron he has been trying to work his way through the field all weekend long, but the battle up for the lead is David Pergonde and Miguel Muir. Last time by, Miguel Muir was almost over half a second faster, but that's not enough here as he gets slowed down ahead by David Pergonde. Now RJ Guajardo and Miguel Muir side by side here for the second spot, and that's going to be RJ Guajardo up in a P2.
Massive pass around the outside for RJ there in that 412 comp kart machine as he works his way into P2, taking advantage of the battle for the lead. He's going to slot himself into that second spot and start to go to work on David Pergonde, trying to get his Heat 3 win this week in the top 3. Still fairly nose to tail. It's about 4 karts in that lead group, and then a gap on back to Daniel Howie, who has made up 6 spots in 6 laps, so averaging a pass per lap for Daniel Howie, but back at the front of the field, top 3 continuing to fight.
And welcome to the party. Scott Cherry he has joined that lead group as RJ Guajardo down the inside here on David Pergonde. It seemed like a little bit of a bump and run here from RJ Guajardo, but hopefully it was all clean here, as now Miguel Muir is going to get passed by a Scott Cherry on the outside, and Scott Cherry up in a P3. He's going to chase down David Pergonde. We have a driver off further back, and I think that's the 410 here.
That's a couple of karts off there on the side, the 410 of Kyle Walter. Unfortunate exit of turn number 3 is going to find himself out of this race, so a tough break for Kyle Walter there, but back up at the front. The man who started on pole and dropped quickly is finding his form back late in this heat race. Scott Cherry all the way back up to P2 after early struggles, finding his pace late in heat number 3.
Yeah, what a drive so far by Scott Cherry, who felt like he wasn't raced fairly earlier on in this race, but now he is working his way back up, and he is up in a second. I believe the other driver who was out behind that pole, we can't really see the number, but I am getting word that it is the 407 of Cogan Wright, who does go a lap down here in timing. So Cogan Wright, I believe, is out of this race as well. But now up in the lead is RJ Guajardo and Scott Cherry in P2. David Pergonde, P3. And now Scott Cherry going to try to work his way past here, RJ Guajardo. But when do you think it's time to go here, Simon?
I think now is time to go. We're in the closing stages of this race. It'll be 2 to go this time by. Still RJ Guajardo leading over Scott Cherry. Scott Cherry with that awesome drive back after his early struggles, but now it's any of these 4 karts in contention. The top 4 group separating themselves by a margin of about 5 seconds to the karts on back, and RJ Guajardo still leading as they head in towards the bowl. The battle for P2 is starting to heat up. RJ with a bit of a gap now as he tries to sprint off towards the end of this race. It'll be white flag next time by.
Yeah, and it seems like RJ Guajardo's kart came later on in this race, so it could also be a tire pressure thing here. He could have chosen to gone lower tire pressures here, and now the kart's coming to life as the exact opposite here for David Pergonde, who was super quick in the earlier stages of this race, who is now falling off the pace. And now Miguel Mir is going to be looking for a pass. As a pass for the lead, Scott Cherry and RJ Guajardo side by side. Scott Cherry, Mr. Rimrock himself. Oh, and I spoke too soon. And they come together. Can David Pergonde work his way through? They come together even more. Miguel Mir works his way through. Can he pass Scott Cherry here? He cannot. Scott Cherry, David Pergonde side by side. And oh, a big off for David Pergonde. David Pergonde is out of this race, and Scott Cherry's in the lead. RJ Guajardo second. Miguel Mir third. Who is it going to be? Coming to the line. Scott Cherry still in the lead of this race. RJ Guajardo in second, and that is David Pergonde, who is out of this race, Simon.
Wild action on the last lap here in the KA 100 Master category. The white flag displayed last time by. They're coming back to the checkered this time by, and it's going to be Scott Cherry taking the victory. A lot of contact there on that last lap, and it'll be RJ Guajardo coming home P2. Miguel Mir survives the chaos to come home third. Morgan LeBaron with a great drive forward finishes fifth. Daniel Howie comes home sixth, also making up 6 spots that race. It'll be Randy Russell P7, Kyle Uchinsky P8, Steve Craig P9, David Pergonde falls all the way down to that 9th spot. Jose De La Garza P10, Jorge Hernandez P11, and then we have the drivers who unfortunately didn't finish the race with issues: Kogan Wright, Kyle Walther, and Tam Nagin. And that will wrap up your KA 100 Masters presented by Kart Racing Solutions. A lot of action on last lap. What's your take here, Caleb?
That was crazy, and I mean, these are the veterans here of the sport, and they raced just like it. You know, they had their elbows out the whole time, and they pretty much showed that the younger guys how it's done.
Yeah, that was some wild action. Scott Cherry certainly was involved in a lot of side-by-side contact throughout that heat race, but eventually is going to come home with the win, surviving the chaos, surviving the battle of attrition. Scott Cherry makes his way up to that top spot after starting on pole. Falling back early, he drives his way back to the win. RJ Guajardo makes up 4 spots from the 6th place to come home second, and Miguel Mir rounds out the top 3 here in KA 100 Masters. When we come back, it's going to be the final Heat 3 of our AM sessions. 206 Senior when we return.
If you want to see a giant selection of beautiful new dining room tables, chairs, servers, come out to Gallery Furniture to see with the latest and greatest dining room furniture. Best of all, buy this dining room furniture today, solid wood. Gallery Furniture delivers free to your Houston area home today.
Welcome back to Rimrock Raceway. Where we are getting set to go green here for our first headline class of the evening. It's going to be 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing. Starting on the pole position is going to be the MSL kart here, the comp kart of Aiden Smith. In second, it's going to be Bryce Frank. Third, Jeff Shaw, who was super quick yesterday, took the heat in Heat 2. Kurt Goodson's going to start fourth. Samuel Jung, fifth. Jacob Oliver in sixth. Drew Chappell in seventh. A little bit of issues for him yesterday. Hasn't been able to find that speed. Wyatt Renfro is going to start 8th. Dakota Hampton, 9th. Alfred Alvarez El Castillo, 10th. Brady Craig, 11th. Amy Berrigan in 12th. And I think that's all we're going to have here for this race, if I'm not mistaken here. Oh, Brady Craig, 11th here. I'm sorry. Amy Berrigan, 12th. Colby Johnson, 13th. Paul Braden, 14th. And that's going to be it here for our field, Simon.
And as they work through the last corner, they'll get set to take the green flag into the tram lines. It's going to be Aiden Smith leading them to green. All set and filed, and green flag is waving. We are racing here in 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing, in our first heat race of the weekend, where we've seen the outside line get the advantage. That's going to be Bryce Frank taking the early lead here, as they are 2 and 3 wide heading into turn number 3.
Yeah, and Bryce Frank with a handful of pace yesterday after an unfortunate mechanical issue in the second heat. Now Jacob Oliver down the inside here on Kurt Goodson. Can he get it done? Jacob Oliver and Kurt Goodson side by side. Can Jacob Oliver get past Kurt Goodson here? Going into the bull corner, he cannot. Still side by side for Kurt Goodson in that blue driven LN kart, and Jacob Oliver is going to slide right behind Kurt Goodson. And now Jeff Shaw, Aiden Smith, Kurt Goodson, Samuel Jung, and Jacob Oliver line up as Drew Chappell and Wyatt Renfro side by side.
As they'll come through the last couple of corners, we're going to round out the first lap of this final heat in the morning. Bryce Frank with the early advantage takes off to a 1.3 second lead over Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw working his way up into P2, and we see a pass down the inside there into turn number 2. And that's going to be Samuel Jung making a great move around Kurt Goodson. Into the next hairpin now. A lot of back and forth in this track. You have about 3 hairpins back to back, and it's a great place to pass. Plenty of opportunities around the track, and we're seeing the drivers making the most of them. Certainly in that KA100 Master heat number 3, they were going at it as hard as they possibly could. We'll see if the racing action calms down any here in 206 Senior. But as one of our headline classes, we'll see this big group fighting their way through. We're going to keep an eye on all the action as it happens.
And now we see the gap in between Jeff Shaw and Bryce Frank beginning to come down to under a second. Bryce Frank last time by a 53.924. Last time by for Jeff Shaw was a 53.394. And now a little bit of movement back as Samuel Jung works his way up in a P3 ahead of Aiden Smith as they go side by side. And Kurt Goodson trying to work his way through as well in that LN driven kart. And now Kurt Goodson ahead of Aiden Smith. Aiden Smith falls back to 5th. He's going to fall into the grasp here of Jacob Oliver and Drew Chappell, who is now up in a 7th place here for Drew Chappell. This is the best drive that we have seen from him all weekend long. Seems like he has figured out the track and figured out his kart setup here this weekend as he's working his way up here in that Maxwell Paper Products 206 livery, now behind Jacob Oliver.
So as the top 2 start to stretch their advantage on the field, the battle for P3 raging on. Samuel Jung able to take advantage and work his way up into that P3 spot, and your pole sitter Aiden Smith falling all the way down to P5 as it currently sits.
Yeah, Samuel Jung up in a P3 now, and Drew Chappell looking for a move down the inside here on Jacob Oliver, and he does. Drew Chappell up in a 6th place, and Jacob Oliver falls back another spot here. He is now ahead of Alfred Alvarez del Castillo with that MSL Tony kart in 8th place here, and he's going to try to work his way up here through the field. Now Kurt Goodson and Samuel Jung are working together, and now Drew Chappell looking for a move into the bull corner. Jacob Oliver is going to give him a little push here to try to get ahead here of Aiden Smith in that comp kart, and now Alfred Alvarez del Castillo and Jacob Oliver and Aiden Smith 3 wide coming through the exit. Jacob Oliver is going to try to get ahead here of Drew Chappell, and along is coming Alfred Alvarez del Castillo and another car trying to work their way through here, and Drew Chappell is going to work his way all the way up to P5 here, Simon.
And Aiden Smith not having a great race here so far. We'll see him as they cross the line. Still 3 wide down the front straight. We'll see if they can keep it clean through the first couple of corners, but Aiden Smith all the way down into P9, your early pole sitter, and Peyton Phillips, the man who had the worst possible day yesterday, not really finishing anything, unfortunately, a lot of mechanical failures. He has driven his way up into that 7th spot, already up 9 spots after starting 16th.
Yeah, and that's Brady Craig, and they're trying to work her way up the field as well. She is stuck here in a train behind the 2 MSLs of Aiden Smith and Alfred Alvarez del Castillo. And now the 2 teammates go side by side as Alfred Alvarez del Castillo is going to try to get a switchback move done, and he cannot, as he's going to lose another spot further back here to Aiden Smith. And further up on the field is Drew Chappell and Jacob Oliver trying to work their way through. I want to see the battle here for the lead because Jeff Shaw is beginning to close that gap down to Bryce Frank. And yeah, it's on your screen here at the moment. Jeff Shaw and Bryce Frank, they have been the 2 quickest carts all weekend long here. Jeff Shaw last time by with the 51.938. Bryce Frank last time by was his best lap of the race with the 52.165. So Bryce Frank a little bit slower here, but he's still been super quick all weekend long, as Jeff Shaw now going to try to work his way around Bryce Frank. But we all know Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw is one of the veterans here of the sport in that VLR cart. So he's going to be patient here with Bryce Frank, and they're going to push to try to get away from Samuel Jung and company.
Well, it's not quite go time yet, I wouldn't think, as they have a 4-second advantage over P3, so I'm sure they'll be comfortable to just continue checking out on the field. Bryce Frank and Jeff Shaw leading the way. Samuel Jung, Kurt Goodson, your next duo across the line. Then it's Drew Chappell, Jacob Oliver, and Peyton Phillips still up 9 spots. That excellent drive out of the 604 machine to continue working his way forward.
Yeah, 206 is more like a chess match here, Simon. Definitely, it's one of the most patient classes where you have to be so on it all race long. And passing, really, if you try to go for a pass mid-race, you're going to lose a handful of time here. But Peyton Phillips seems like he hasn't lost any time at all because he is absolutely flying in that high 5 Tony kart here.
Yes, he is up 9 spots, as we've mentioned. We'll see how far he can get throughout the duration of this heat number 3. On your screen, we have some action going on here, Caleb.
Yeah, action indeed as Peyton Phillips works his way ahead of Drew Chappell now, and Bryce Franks has the fastest lap of the race with the 51.916. Jeff Shaw still in second. Kurt Goodson, I think, has gone around Samuel Jung here, and Peyton Phillips now leads the train here of Drew Chappell and Jacob Oliver and company. If these guys can keep working together, they may work their way right back up, as I think someone has gone off further ahead. That's either Kurt Goodson or Samuel Jung. Let's see if we can take a look here further ahead, and yeah, that is Samuel Jung and Kurt Goodson, so someone may have dropped the tire there, but as it stands here at the moment, it's Peyton Phillips leading the train here of Drew Chappell and Jacob Oliver. This is 5th, 6th, and 7th at the moment here on your screen. And up ahead, this is Kurt Goodson and Samuel Jung. Kurt Goodson in that driven LN kart. We saw him finish second, falling just short here to Jeff Shaw in the closing stages of heat number 2. And Samuel Jung right behind him, who has had a good drive pretty much all weekend long. And in the lead of this race, it's still Bryce Frank and Jeff Shaw who are set to cross the line once again.
And as Bryce Frank and Jeff Shaw continue to work together, they will extend their advantage now out to 6 seconds over Kurt Goodson and Samuel Jung. And Peyton Phillips trying to charge towards Samuel Jung. He now is up 11 spots from his starting position. So an awesome drive through the field so far for Peyton Phillips after a really tough day yesterday. But back up at the front of the field, these are your 2 leaders, Bryce Frank and Jeff Shaw, heading into the bowl.
And I believe this is we have a lap and a half left in this race, as it's almost go time here for Jeff Shaw and Bryce Frank. Obviously, all their results are going to average out to the main event later on today. If you want to watch the main event, it is $9.99 a month to become a KC Premium member. You don't want to miss this final, as Bryce Frank and Jeff Shaw have been absolutely flying all weekend long. It's going to be a good one here, as Jeff Shaw maybe going to try to look for a move. Bryce Frank goes a little bit defensive here on Jeff Shaw. Can Jeff Shaw get the switch back here? He does not, but they are going to go wheel to wheel here. Bryce Frank and Jeff Shaw side by side. Bryce Frank stays ahead in that blue MGM. Jeff Shaw trying to work his way around. He cannot. Bryce Frank still is not going to go as defensive. Jeff Shaw going to go down the inside, and what a move there. Bryce Frank set him up for the switchback, and Bryce Frank stays ahead. What a timed move there by Bryce Frank. It seems like he did that on purpose.
And we've seen that a lot this weekend, where that outside line into a crossover move seems to get such a good exit that it's almost hard to counter. If you're diving down the inside to make a pass, you're almost just hung out to dry on the exit. Bryce Frank using that crossover move to regain the lead of this race. They'll work through the last couple of corners here, and Bryce Frank will take the checkered flag. Winner of heat number 3 in 206 Senior, presented by Slipstream Racing. Jeff Shaw comes home P2, Kurt Goodson P3. Samuel Jung sets the fastest lap of the race on that last lap to come home P4. Peyton Phillips up 11 spots, finishes P5. Drew Chappell P6, Jacob Oliver P7, Alfred Alvarez de Castillo P8, White Renfro P9, Brady Craig is your top 10. Just outside that is Dakota Hampton, Aiden Smith, Colby Johnson, and Amy Berrigan is your field here in 206 Senior. Caleb?
Yeah, this was 206 Senior presented by Slipstream Racing. Up next, we have the main events for our AM groups. Like I said, if you want to watch those main events, you are not going to want to miss them, as it has been an action-packed AM group. If you want to watch all the live action later on today, don't forget to become a KC Premium member, where you will be able to watch the main events of pretty much all the series that we go to for $9.99 a month. If you want to watch the main events here.
Yeah, so just to recap on that, we're about to go main event racing for the classes that you just watched in their morning heat number 3. So all the classes that were just on track are set to take their main events coming up next, and then we'll have another round of heats this afternoon, followed by another round of main events for those classes. So as we get set here to start main event action, we're going to kill the stream and swap it over. So make sure you are a KC Premium member so you can watch all the main event action here at the Midsummer Mashup at Rimrock Raceway for round 4 of the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Keep watching on Kart Chaser.